In the headlines to the CBC NewsNight, the chicken shortage to end shortly, according to the Agriculture Minister. Barbados being positioned as the centre for emergency management and response in the Caribbean. The Prime Minister attends the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening and welcome to the CBC NewsNight. I'm Wendy Burke with the details. Assurances tonight that the current chicken shortage will be over in less than a week. It comes from Minister of Agriculture, Food and Nutritional Security Indar Weir. Anesta Henry has the report.
Fresh from a meeting with poultry producers, Minister of Agriculture, Food and Nutritional Security Indar Weir is assuring consumers the chicken shortage will be short-lived. He says chicken will be back on supermarket shelves in abundance by the end of this month, and there will be more than enough for Christmas.
There will be no shortage of chicken going into the Christmas period, and I think that Barbadians can rest assured that whatever we do, we have always been consistent with what we are saying.
The minister tells the CBC News this is due to an increase in poultry production. He says should that not adequately meet demand, the backup plan is to import. Minister Weir explains that while climate change played a role, the biggest contributing factor to the scarcity was small farmers reducing their orders in July and August by 156,000 chicks. The reduction, he says, was fueled by fears of a glut in the market, sparked by some players in the industry suggesting that a lot of chicken wings and whole chickens were imported for Cricket World Cup.
That situation had nothing to do with what was happening with poultry in Barbados, and that was the ADMC under state trade mechanism bringing in chicken wings that never affected the Barbados poultry industry. And now from what you can see in the supermarkets, where shelves are at times empty because the local producers can't keep up with demand, will suggest that the information that the BAS put out misled the country first and foremost, and perhaps contributed to small farmers not growing chickens.
And despite the current shortage, Minister Weir says hatcheries are producing more chicks this year compared to 2023.
Chicken production in Barbados is up. Certainly at October this year compared to last year, production is higher than it was in October last year. In last year, they had 910,114 placements, and this year we had 995,441. So you can see that the numbers are higher.
The minister says it should also be noted that businesses are buying chicken directly from processors at this time.
When you get information to suggest that the poultry industry is under pressure, you will find that people may store more, so that the hit is going to go to those who don't store.
The minister adds that checks and balances have proven that there is no evidence to support claims of a surplus of chicken in cold storage. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
The state of agriculture in Barbados is expected to occupy the attention of industry officials at the annual general meeting of the Barbados Agricultural Society tomorrow. CBC understands that the importation of heifers, a clarification of the importation of pork and poultry, are among the items down for discussion. The session, which will be addressed by Minister of Agriculture, Food and Nutritional Security Indar Weir, is also expected to look at the use of agricultural land. The meeting will be held at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Centre starting at 10 o'clock. Barbados is set to be the hub for emergency management and response in the Caribbean. And by January 2025, an $8.9 million regional logistics hub and center of excellence will be built on the island and operationalized. Minister of Home Affairs Wilfred Abrams made the revelation as he toured the work in progress at Perimeter Road in Christchurch. Our Rachel Agard was there and filed this report.
It was during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic that officials first saw the need for a facility such as this, a regional logistics hub and center of excellence. It is here that emergency items will be stored to be used in the aftermath of disasters. The facility is expected to mitigate some of the logistical challenges faced by the Caribbean, which came to the fore during the pandemic. Minister of Home Affairs Wilfred Abrams explains why Barbados was chosen.
Barbados is a good place to chase the hurricanes from. The weather affects us first. Once it has passed us, it then goes on to the rest. So if the hub is here and we need to draw from supplies here, we can do that, but we can equally follow behind the hurricane to those who are affected as they're affected. And it allows for as we ship things out, it allows for us to be replenishing at the same time.
The minister goes on to talk about the strategic nature of the location.
The point was made that we need to have a central hub, somewhere that is positioned in such a way as to make it logistically feasible to manage and coordinate a disaster response from. We were able to get lands in the precincts of the airport, which makes it very convenient to planes to land and you come straight from off the tarmac into here, or flip it the other way. If we need to get stuff from here onto a transport plane out, it's easily done. We're close to the highway, so if we need to use the port, we can get onto the highway quickly and get down to the port.
He says it would be counterproductive to wait until after a natural disaster to source items.
We know what we have to put here. We also know the challenges we face, because after Elsa, something as simple as chainsaws, the U.S. was not allowing the export of chainsaws from the U.S. So all the other countries that were trying to get chainsaws to clear down trees and other stuff, chainsaws were not accessible. The U.S. took a hit as well, and they kept all their supplies inland. So we can't wait for the aftermath of an event to then try to source things. It makes sense for us to have the items that we know we are going to need in sufficient stock that we can service the rest of the Caribbean.
The warehouse will house hygiene products, tarpaulins, emergency building supplies, and much more, including a cool room for temperature-sensitive items. Meanwhile, the World Food Programme Caribbean Multi-Country Office Head of Supply Chain, Andrew Jackson, says this hub will play a critical role in supporting Barbados and other Caribbean countries in their time of need.
Barbados is playing a leading role in providing and supporting us with making this dream come a reality. It's a really great example of how the UN, government, private sector and other partners are coming together, rallying behind the Sustainable Development Goals. We are partnering for the goals with this initiative. So yeah, we're really excited to have this completed very soon.
Simulations are expected to be done shortly. The warehouse will be available to all countries serviced by the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Barbados Prime Minister Mia Motley is among several CARICOM leaders in Samoa for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. The meeting got underway today. The biennial gathering of monarchs, heads of government, government ministers and senior officials, civil society and faith groups is the first to be held in a small island developing state in the Pacific. Ms. Motley attended an official dinner and reception hosted by King Charles III, the head of the Commonwealth. She was seen interacting with the King and his wife at the Robert Louis Stevenson Museum. Meanwhile, the Commonwealth Heads of Government Summit opened with King Charles telling the organization it should acknowledge its painful history and urging it to right inequalities that endure. He, however, did not directly refer to slavery during his address. King Charles told leaders the past can't be changed and encouraged them to commit to learning from history.
Nothing, it seems to me, would do so more decisively than to champion the principle that our Commonwealth is one of genuine opportunity for all. This principle has guided so much that I have sought to do throughout my life. In the United Kingdom and around the Commonwealth, I have tried, in whatever way I can, to foster opportunity, particularly for young people and for those whose voices might not otherwise be heard. That is why, when we met in Malta nearly a decade ago, I asked the then Prince's Trust, now the King's Trust, which is shortly to celebrate its 50th anniversary, to expand its work internationally.
Commonwealth Secretary-General, the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland, acknowledged the achievements made during her tenure. She says they were made in the face of immense and unpredictable challenges. Heads and their representatives are expected to meet in executive sessions and deliberate in a leaders' retreat to discuss shared priorities that will shape the future work programs of the Commonwealth. Coming up, BARP wants the person who sexually assaulted an elderly woman brought to justice. The Barbados Association of Retired Persons is raising concerns about an elderly woman being sexually assaulted at her home. President Marilyn Rice-Bowen says the assault of the city resident must be frowned upon and is calling for the perpetrator to be brought to justice.
It is with profound sadness that we learn of the rape and burglary that occurred quite recently at the home of a senior in this country. Seniors have built this country up, and they ought to be able to retire and live in safety in Barbados. I'm encouraging Barbadians to join hearts and hands and to ensure that the perpetrator is brought to justice.
Meanwhile, Ms. Rice-Bowen is encouraging senior citizens to be alert, aware, and only allow those familiar to them into their homes.
If at night you hear your pipes outside running, don't go outside and query what's happening. Leave it. That is sometimes a trap to lure you on the outside. If you are not expecting company, even if you are expecting someone, please check your doors, check your windows before you open your doors. And if you are indeed in doubt, just keep your place locked and call 211 and or a neighbor as well. But please do not expose yourself to any more danger.
Acting Communications and Public Affairs Officer of the Barbados Police Service, Sergeant Lizelle Gabriel, has confirmed that a report of a sexual assault was made to the police on Sunday, October 20th, 2024. Sergeant Gabriel says investigations into the matter are presently at a sensitive stage. Scores of elderly folks had a fun ride today. BARP hosted a bus ride around the island for members to commemorate the association's 29th anniversary. Ms. Rice-Bowen says the ride was free and fully booked.
And we are going as far as Speightstown. Our first stop will be Freedom Park. Then we'll stop in Whole Town, stop in Speightstown, and then we'll have lunch at the Botanical Gardens. This bus ride is completely booked, and we're anticipating a day full of fun. We're going to have speeches later in the afternoon. We're going to have some line dancing, some karaoke, and it's an excellent opportunity for BARP members to network. I want to place on public record our gratitude to our forefathers who had the vision, the courage, and the determination to start an organization that is now 22,000 strong, called BARP.
One member who gave her name as Rosemary was excited about the ride.
BARP bus ride this morning. I'm looking forward to an enjoyable day. This is my first time that I'm going out with BARP. So I look forward to meeting other persons as well.
The next step in the local mediation process is to have magistrates trained as skilled family and community mediators. The call from former Chief Justice of Barbados, Sir Patterson Cheltenham. He says the current protocol in the Magistrates Court is geared towards the civil division, but there are no guidelines for how to deal with matters in the criminal division. Sir Patterson says he has been asked to continue consulting as widely as possible to find out how other jurisdictions deal with community-based mediation. He was speaking as a guest on a panel discussion on the far-reaching effects of mediation during Mediation Week.
I said to myself when I was chief, well, how do I, that's another step, but it's a critical step, because a lot of the work that we do in Barbados in the criminal jurisdiction is managed, as you know, right at the magisterial level. And it is right there that you would want to have as many efforts at resolving matters with less rancor, less reference to violence. And it is in there that I want to see the next big effort.
Barbadians living in the diaspora have been lending a helping hand to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Philanthropy officer Gail Howell says efforts are continuing to get Barbadians living abroad to support the facility. She was speaking during the official handover of 3 transport monitors valued at close to $100,000 from the Barbados Canada Foundation.
I've also been working with the Consul General in Miami, building a strong relationship there with the diaspora. It is my intention now to go to New York, because what I've come to realize is that the diaspora, they're willing to give back. Barbadians living abroad are willing to give back to Barbados and to the QEH. They just wanted to know how can we do it seamlessly, and that is what I am working on. And as the director Whitehall said, we're also looking to break into the UK market. So we're certainly working hard to build relationships outside of Barbados and to ensure that Barbadians know how they can donate to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital.
Treasurer of the Barbados Canada Foundation, Hugh Graham, says through fundraising efforts, the foundation has donated equipment valued at several $100,000 to the QEH so far. He says while the main fundraising event is the Bring On the Spring event, the foundation also offers scholarships to Barbadians studying at Canadian universities and colleges.
We go about providing that equipment by way of allowing the QEH to determine what equipment it needs and telling us. So we don't take it for ourselves to assume that we know what you need. So as Paula will tell you, as soon as one event is over, I'm asking her, what do you need for next year? So that we can plan accordingly.
Time now for sports with Mark Seal. Mark, what are we leading with today?
Basketball, Wendy. Very good evening. Pumas have joined 2 other teams at the top of the standings in the Battle of the Cats out-of-season competition. Pumas moved to 2-0 last night when they defeated Jaguars by 7 points. CBC's Anmar Goodrich-Boyce reports.
Night 3 of the Battle of the Cats series featured Pumas in the blue taking on Jaguars. First quarter action, Pumas on the move, body shift from Saeed Norville, and the shot is flawless. It took some time, but Jaguars found their groove. Captain Joel Hunt in the paint gets the bucket to go. Hunt was dominating proceedings for Pumas and showed his dribbling skills on display. Through the traffic to the hole, count it. But Jaguars were up for the challenge, and this next play looked as if it belongs in the NBA. Jamar Headley driving to the cup. That's 2 of his game high, 18. Pumas took the first quarter 23-17 thanks to plays like this. Great off the ball movement from Norville. Then he collects and puts up the shot. That's good. Second quarter now, Pumas looking to extend their lead. Terrell Gill, that's money in the bank. Pumas continue to pile on the pressure. Norville again with the license to operate. That's way too easy. Pumas up 44-35 at the break. Let's skip ahead to the 4th and final quarter now. Jaguars looking to claw their way back into the contest. Rashad Hall with the miss, but the put back is good from Stevenson Callender. Nevertheless, Pumas were not letting up. Here comes Andrew Eiffel, a range he clearly is working on in the off-season as he makes a shot. Victory in sight for Pumas. They didn't have to wait much longer to celebrate either. One final turnover, and Headley puts the finishing touches on the brilliant display as Pumas defeated Jaguars 74-67. And Mark Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
Meanwhile, Lions and Cougars are the other two teams yet to be beaten in the Battle of the Cats. Lions moved their record to 2-0 thanks to a 2-point victory that sent Panthers to their second defeat. Cougars, on the other hand, defeated Tigers by 8 as Tigers dropped to 0-2. Again, CBC's Mark Goodrich Boyce reports.
Let's pick it up from the second quarter in the first matchup, with Cougars in the darker green leading 22-16 over Tigers. Turnover time, switching defense to offense, and Joshua Gibbs comes up big with the flush. What a way to start our highlights. Press pause and replay this one at home. That's excellent. After losing possession on the previous play, Rashid Moore then made amends for the Tigers. Gets the floater to go. Cougars back on the charge. Look at this solo move from Kazarian Adams, going past a few players to the cup. He had 14 points on the night. Adams, the captain, was leading by example, driving through some traffic and drops this one in as Cougars were up by 10 at the break, 43-33. But Tigers were only trailing by 5 at the end of the third quarter, 62-57. Their main man, Devon Knight, was determined. Here he is with 2 of his game-high 34. Shaquan Carrington also chipped in for Tigers with 7 points. Here he is with the pull-up jumper. Looks good. But Cougars were fully dominating. Adams again with the corner 3. Bang. Adriel Braffett, the top scorer, with 21 points and 20 boards. That's 2 more points as the Cougars prevail over Tigers 83-71. Second match now, tip-off time. Lions in orange taking on Panthers. First quarter action. The big man, Akeem March, in the paint. Count it. The Lions came roaring back immediately thanks to Brandon Rupp. Left all alone from beyond the arc. That shooting practice makes no mistake. Adam Joseph Thorne produced 20 points in the contest. In this seesaw battle, watch this move through the traffic, and even with a hand to the face, gets the bucket to go. Impressive. The quarter didn't end before Rashid Maynard got on the board. Silky smooth, couple of steps to the hole. He shot 28 points. Lions up 20-18 at the end of the first. Second quarter action now. Shift in the lead. Panthers in the ascendancy. Khalid Austin from downtown. You bet that's in. Panthers were up 43-40, while Lions fought back to take the third 68-62. Theo Greenwich to Jamon Phillip. That's a deep 2. Theo Greenwich scored the most points for Panthers with 26, as the teams could not be separated. 89-89 at the end of the match. Nail-biting scenes now. Eyes glued to the court as we're into overtime. And this is where the game was decided. Who will be the hero? Maynard says, here I am, taking matters into his own hand, to the hoop and one. Look what it means to him. Lions eventually winning 95-93 over Panthers. And Mark Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
This is the first half in sports, Wendy. When we come back, we'll have some cricket news ahead of tomorrow's final one-day international.
Well, we look forward to seeing you then, Mark. Up next on CBC's Newsnight, the Business Report. In tonight's Business Report, a cybersecurity operations center is coming. Minister of Industry, Innovation, Science and Technology, Marcia Caddo, told the Digital Banking Drive Forum at the conference room of the Sky Mall that it will have surveillance capacity. Trevor Thorpe reports from the forum, which was attended by the banking community, credit unions and the financial services sector.
The minister told the gathering job number 1 is their cybersecurity efforts and gave insights on the Security Operations Center that is in the works. She said it's a 3-year development plan.
Barbados announced that we are building a Tier 3 data center in a modular way over a 3-year period. That means, and if we are going to offer services as part of that data center, if we're going to say to people, keep your data with us, it means that job number 1 is our cybersecurity efforts. A big part of that is knowing what information you have, classifying your data, what is on your servers. If you lose this information, do you know what you've lost?
Minister Cattle said incidents will occur, but cyber criminals and cyber terrorists will keep trying, and a unified front is required to fight against malware.
As we speak, there are people in their attic, in their basement, in their car, all over the world, coming up with the new malware, coming up with the new ways of getting into our systems and getting our data. I mean, I don't want to sound alarmist, but that is a fact. There are people who spend all of their time trying to come up with these new tools. And so it is not just about looking for the threats on the landscape now, but looking for the emerging threats.
The minister told the gathering malware is the fastest area of growth in the digital world, with people who spend their time looking at ways to do harm to everyone.
So we may think that it is telecom systems or new handsets or new software for all. No, it's people who are looking to do harm. And that is the area of activity in technology that is the fastest growing. But as a part of that infrastructure, not just a security operations center, but we know that we have to have a national CSIRT, cybersecurity incident response team. Again, the lesson that we've learned in the most recent incidents is that we need to be able to deploy right away.
According to Minister Cattle, much is resting on the shoulders of the people in the marketplace as they are mandated to protecting data and making it safe from cyber criminals.
There's this notion that the internet is a place where knowledge happens. And so I will click on something and I'll start to understand, and have you seen this thing? And not realizing that that is one of the easiest ways, the most accessible ways to get access to things that people should not have access to. Securing your Wi-Fi networks, everybody in this room understands that that is necessary, or not using for certain kinds of transactions very insecure networks. So you find some free open Wi-Fi and you say, boy, I can check my bank balance now. Let's not do that.
The minister said they must be ready to head off the threats, not only of today, but of those that are coming from the digital world. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Here's how the stocks traded locally and regionally today.
In Jamaica, the Cinco Group Limited ordinary shares with 1,970,852 units was the volume leader, followed by Victon Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares and Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial. In Trinidad and Tobago, First Citizens Group Financial Holdings Limited was the volume leader with 113,580 shares changing hands for a value of Trinidad and Tobago $4,588,639, followed by Massey Holdings Limited. And here in Barbados, Goddard Enterprises Limited was the volume leader, trading 10,000 shares at a high of Barbados $2.95 each, and they were followed by CIBC Caribbean Bank Limited.
And that's business. We'll take a break and be back with the weather. And we say good evening to Carrie Ann O'Neill. Are we starting the weekend with some good weather news?
Well, that's up to you, how you see it, Wendy. We will have a mixture of sunshine, showers as well here in Barbados. Good evening to you and good evening, everyone. Today in Barbados, that rich pattern was the dominant feature. As a result, we had a mix of sunshine and showers today. Now, the winds across the region, they are moderate to breezy. We here in Barbados, we had a gust up to 41 knots. Meanwhile, showers and thunderstorms prevailed across the Guianas. The maximum temperature today was 32, that's 31 degrees Celsius, the minimum 25 degrees. At present, the temperature stands at 28 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity 81%, the winds, they're coming in from the east. We take a look now at some atmospheric conditions across the region, where the temperatures are ranging from 27 to 29 degrees Celsius. The humidity shows moisture is building over in Trinidad, and the winds, they are moderate to breezy across the region. We take a look now at our satellite feed, where we do have the ridge pattern as our dominant feature. We saw a few low-level clouds drifting across the island. As a result, we had sunshine as well as showers here in Barbados. Now, the winds, whilst they're quite breezy across most of the islands for us, they are gusty, up to 41 knots. Meanwhile, the seas, they are moderate in open water with swells peaking at 2 meters. Later on tonight, we'll continue to see patches of clouds moving across the island. As a result, we'll see a mix of clear and cloudy skies, along with just a few light showers. Further south, showers and thunderstorms prevailed across the Guianas. Over now in the Western Caribbean, there is a shear line maintaining wet conditions across southern Bahamas, Cuba, as well as Jamaica. Elsewhere, they had afternoon localized showers. That's our first look at the weather. After the break, we'll have the forecast. Welcome back. In the forecast for tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 5:50 and will set at 5:34. High tide is expected at 23 minutes to 1 in the afternoon, the first low at 3 minutes past 6 in the morning. Now, those seas are moderate in open water with swells peaking at 2 meters. The winds coming in from the east, and they're peaking at 35 kilometers per hour. For us here in Barbados tonight, the ridge pattern will continue to dominate. We are expecting a mix of clear and cloudy skies, along with just a few light showers. And over the next 3 days, a mix of sunshine, clouds, and light showers can be expected.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
And it's time now for the second half of sports with Mark Seal. Some cricketing action was promised.
Indeed. Captain Shea Hope says the Windies have to keep finding ways to get better as they battle to stave off a series whitewash against Sri Lanka tomorrow. Sri Lanka, who clinched the 3-match T20 International Series 2-1, are now aiming to clean sweep the Windies in the ODI series, as the visitors have struggled on the spinner-friendly surfaces in the 2 matches so far. Playing that final match starts at 5:30 a.m. Barbados time. 3 of Barbados' elite pro athletes will be off to London at month end for the IFFB Pro Night of Champions UK. Bodybuilder Raymond Brooms is set to go head-to-head with the UK's David Henderson, while bikini fitness athletes Shaniqua Allenby and Danielle Gill will compete in that category. Gill, who is new to the pros, says training at this level has intensified.
It's been a little bit more intense because now I'm a pro. There's a lot more that's going into it. I've been trying to do a lot more focusing on my muscle gain as well as my diet to meet the requirements of a pro, basically. It's hard work, it's dedication, it's discipline. Discipline is something I always had, but it's even more discipline now. And really, it's just a circle of love, especially from the other Caribbean competitors. I hope to make all my supporters, all my sponsors, everybody proud, including myself.
Pro athletes from the UK, Germany, Spain, Macedonia, Australia, Antigua and Barbuda, Mexico, Sweden and Georgia, along with Barbados, to name a few, are set to compete. This will be the first staging of the IFFB Pro Night of Champions UK, with prize money totaling over £37,000. It'll be up for grabs over all of the categories. On out of football now, it's time again when we shine the spotlight on a player who has stood out in the Prime Minister's Cup.
Which footballer will have the spotlight tonight? Let's play ball with your Player of the Week from the Prime Minister's Cup. He may be soft-spoken, but when on the field, Romario Drace is a force to be reckoned with for his UWA Blackbirds team. So far in the Cup competition, he has scored in all but one game, and in their crucial round of 16 encounter with Empire, after teammates Joan Otterson and Rivaldo Messiah had scored, he put the icing on the cake to send the Blackbirds to the quarterfinals. Our Player of the Week says while he takes his game seriously, the Blackbirds as a team work together to get the job done. So being chosen to be highlighted is a shocker.
Honestly, it's a good feeling. I was a bit surprised at first, but I think I'm enjoying it.
UWA Blackbirds, who feature in the Premier League, have not lost a single game yet. And Romario says it's because they put in the necessary prep.
The team is based on young guys, great quality players, and it all starts from training. So guys come, put in hard work, and we just show the results at each game.
And given the standard of play Romario and the Blackbirds have shown so far, no doubt the confidence is there to get to the finals.
It's going great. Have a lot of supporters, and the atmosphere is a bit different, but still amazing at the same time, and just looking forward to the finals.
So look out for Romario Drace, one of the key men for the UWA Blackbirds, who are taking flight to lift the Prime Minister's Cup. And that was your Player of the Week. That was one footballer who took the spotlight from the action in the Prime Minister's Cup.
Now, Wharton FC was one of the first teams to book a place in the quarterfinals of the PM Cup. And for coach Andre Phillips, getting this far has come from dedication from the team.
Mostly you're trying to train as much as possible, trying to get the guys to do as much things together as possible, work on certain drills, tactics, that kind of stuff. Just building a togetherness throughout. Even whenever little time you got off, try to get in as much training sessions as we could.
Now, most teams know that a win for them is also a win for their community. And Coach Phillips says Wharton going all the way will be a major achievement.
It will mean everything. We never won anything major. As born and grew up person who played on this playing field growing up from a lad, it will mean everything to me. Probably bigger than watching my favorite team, Brazil, win the World Cup. It will mean everything. Trust me on that.
Wharton will be playing against UWI in the quarterfinals. Pending that sports.
Thank you so much, Mark. We'll return after the break. That's news. Thanks for viewing. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.